Robbed of their childhood,
I have to make it work for the kids.
one woman is fighting for their future.
Too much is on the line for us to fail.
Who is this modern hero?
My name is Luma Mufleh, and this is my story.
Hi guys, I'm Julia.
I'm Teddy.
Nice to meet you.
I'm Justin.
At first glance, this might look like your typical soccer practice. But this team is anything but ordinary.
Everybody in 2 lines, let's go.
I'm from Central Africa, but I was born in Cameroon.
I came from Iraq.
I was born in Tanzania but from Burundi.
I was in Ethiopia before I came to the United States.
Meet the Fugees, a unique soccer team made up of child refugees from war-torn countries.
2, 3.
And came to America for a better life. This is their coach, Luma Mufleh, who is all too familiar with the refugee experience. Born in 1975 in Amman, Jordan, Luma grew up in a privileged household with a haunted past.
My grandparents fled Syria during the first Assad regime in 1964. My grandmother packed up a car with her 5 children. She was 3 months pregnant with her daughter and drove to neighboring Jordan.
Luma's grandfather escaped soon after, but not before he was tortured and his factories were seized.
My mother was 16 when that happened, and my mother to this day won't share what that story was like.
Why do you think that is?
I don't know if it's shame. Being a refugee or being forced to flee your home, a lot of people that have gone through that journey feel it's their fault or that's not something to be proud of. And so they don't want to identify as a refugee. And I've seen it with our kids.
I came in 2007 around the age of 4 and 5 because of war.
Some kids have seen their mothers get raped. Fathers or uncles get shot. One kid saw his grandmother shot right in front of him because she refused to let the rebels take him to be a child soldier.
In my country, it's dangerous. They kidnapped my brother, and there was a war.
Watching other moms put their babies in the river because they didn't know what the future held, that they were so terrified of what was going to happen. Every refugee has gone through atrocities that we can't imagine.
From a young age, the refugee experience is something that Luma was painfully aware of.
My grandmother took me to my first refugee camp.
And you were young, right? You were only 8 years old?
Yes. And those images still stick in my mind. As a kid, you're like, we speak the same language, we're in the same country. How is it that I have this and they don't?
And growing up, Luma had quite a bit. Her family rebuilt their lives in Jordan and became self-made millionaires. But despite her financial stability, Luma was deeply struggling with her own reality, a situation that ultimately led her to her own refugee experience.
I think people think it's easy to leave your country. But I came to America because I didn't have a choice. It's the death penalty in Jordan if you're gay.
So Luma left Jordan to attend Smith College, a small elite liberal arts school in Massachusetts. While there, she embarked on the lengthy process of applying and ultimately receiving political asylum, a feat that gave her the courage to share her true identity to those she loves the most.
Is it about that point in time when you decide you want to come out to your family?
I was granted asylum a few weeks after graduation, and then I came out to my parents, and I was disowned by my family when I came out to them.
What was that whole experience like?
You hit rock bottom, you feel alone, you can barely pay the bills. There's like brief moments of desperation. Being gay and Muslim, you feel like you don't belong in either group. The gay community doesn't understand how you can be Muslim, and the Muslim community doesn't understand how you can be gay.
With no community of her own and zero in the bank, Luma set off on a journey to find herself and make a living. She worked a series of different jobs, ranging from dishwasher to coach. Then, In 2004, one fateful day in Georgia rerouted the trajectory of her entire life.
One day I missed my turn, ended up driving into Clarkston, and I saw these kids outside playing soccer. And it reminded me of home. It reminded me of the way I grew up playing soccer in the streets and with my brothers and cousins, and I wanted to play.
Clarkston is one of the few cities where the U.S. government helps to resettle families who have escaped war or persecution. It is now home to people from more than 40 countries, speaking more than 60 languages. And the 6 boys Luma stumbled upon playing soccer were no different. They were from Afghanistan, Sudan, and Liberia.
It was incredible. It was like how sports just takes away everything. It didn't matter at that point that I was a woman. It didn't matter that I couldn't speak to all of them in their home language. It was just like, oh, here's a ball, here we have rocks set up as goals, and we're just like playing, and it was fun.
All right, it's gonna start with Alan So. Go.
The next thing Luma knew, that small game of pickup evolved into a full-blown soccer team of 30 refugee kids from all over the world.
It was a little overwhelming,
Wow.
but it was like really cool to see like the power of a ball and the power of kids wanting to belong to something and to do something.
And why did you want to start a team?
Sports is just something that shaped my life.
There you go. Thank you.
And it wasn't until I met a group of kids playing soccer and forming the Fugees, proving to my family didn't matter anymore because I felt a sense of purpose and I was allowed to reconcile my identities with that experience.
With a newfound sense of purpose, Luma was determined to make the Fugees a success. The Fugees became a force to be reckoned with, racking up undefeated seasons and state championships. But Luma noticed a concerning problem off the field that she couldn't ignore.
If you are a refugee and you come here, you're age 14, our country puts you in the age-appropriate class, not the level-appropriate class. So 14, you're put in 8th grade, 8th or 9th grade, you're expected to do Shakespeare, do algebra when you don't know the letters of the alphabet and you don't know how to add or multiply. These kids have had disrupted or no formal education whatsoever. It's like you're setting them up for failure from day one. They're gonna drop out. When you drop out, there's only a few options. Like, I just don't understand why more people are not outraged by it. And I said, well, if this was my kid, what would I do? I couldn't afford a private school for my entire team, and so I started a school with 6 kids. And then the next year was 12, and then every year it just grew.
Fugees Academy started in 2007 as an all-boys school and has since grown into a 90-student co-ed institution that includes year-round soccer, after-school tutoring, and is the only one of its kind in the country. With a 90% graduation rate, her success on and off the field comes from tough love.
When I get down there, I want the goal set up and the balls and everything ready to go.
And a determined staff.
How would you describe your style here?
I would describe our school as military meets Montessori. We have a lot of structure, a lot of rules. When I interview teachers and staff, you have to have the highest possible standard, not, oh, well, they're poor refugee kids, let's just get someone in the room. No, the highest possible standard. And so what tools do we give them that they can navigate this world? Everything from the self-confidence piece to the belief that they can do anything they want, to giving them tools on how to communicate with people, how to advocate for themselves. We know all the kids speak a different language at home, but at school, we want you to learn English, and it's complete immersion.
I learned English at Fuji. She helped us become a better person and help us become a better soccer player. She helped us a lot.
5 out of 6. Keep going.
I'm a senior and I'll be going to college next year, so that's very exciting for me. I never thought I would have the chance to go into colleges, but then when I came to Fugees, I realized how important education was.
What is that like at graduation?
I knew these kids when they came to the school and couldn't utter a word of English and were angry and felt isolated. And then you're seeing like these incredible young men and women, heads held up high. Their parents are like, so excited about it. They're like not only the first in their families to finish high school, but the first to have completed middle school.
We keep going, because we never quit. That's a message I carry in my life.
It takes a lot of work to get there, but then when you see it, you're like, yes, like this is what it's about.
It sounds like this is a moral obligation for you.
It is. This is not a refugee issue for me. It's a social justice issue. Like, this is about equality. We need to push ourselves to make this a better world.
With a clear mission, Luma and her Fugees family have captivated hearts across the country. She's earned highly touted titles like CNN's Top 10 Heroes and has been asked to speak across the country about her experiences. But all the attention and accolades serve one purpose to Luma: to bring awareness to the refugee experience and to help even more children across the country.
America represents the best of the world in bringing people together that is not possible in other countries. Here you have a gay Arab Muslim woman leading a group of refugee children from over 20 different countries. Where else in the world is this possible? Nowhere but America is this possible. When you believe the impossible, and you believe it with such zest, that's what makes change happen.
If this modern hero inspires you, please share. It helps us bring you more stories.